This video is sponsored by Async Art. Async Art is rare, programmable art running on a blockchain that's split into dynamic layers. These change over time, affecting the overall image. This means the art evolves reacting to external data, whether that's the weather, the date, or even crypto prices. Two artworks worth highlighting are Micah Johnson's Sovereignty. This reacts to the date, and on the birthday of the two brothers in the artwork, it reveals a QR code allowing you to donate Bitcoin to them. The second piece is a collaboration between Trevor Jones and A Lot of Money called ETHBoy. You can check out all this groundbreaking programmable art at async.art. That is ASYNC.art. Thanks for the sponsorship. Hello and welcome to Blockchain Gaming World Daily with me, John Jordan. So what we're looking at today is Axie Infinity. There's actually an awful lot going on with Axie Infinity at the moment, so I've ended up kind of combining two separate things together, but there is a thread between them. So this is, as we can see here, from the Axie Infinity Twitter feed. Came out a couple of days ago, and this is looking at who is playing Axie Infinity. So this is kind of a somewhat a technical point, but somewhat not. So often when I give figures, or usually when I give figures about blockchain games, I'm looking at what we call on-chain activity. So I'm looking at what are the numbers that we're seeing on, in this case, running on the Ethereum blockchain? What are the interactions? How many wallets are interacting through the Axie Infinity smart contracts on the Ethereum blockchain? Because that's public knowledge. We can all see it. We can all check it. So that's often the figures I give. These figures are not those figures. These figures are basically people playing the game. So off-chain. The majority of this is off-chain activity. And this particular tweet here is looking at the people playing the battle part of the game. And this is still kind of in alpha beta sort of phase, although it's been in alpha beta for quite a long time now, over 6 months. You can see here, this is the people who are playing the game through different platforms. So we have 963 on iOS, we have 136 on Mac, we have 7,620 on Android, and we have 1,655 on Windows. So we can obviously see where the majority of people are playing. We do know this with Axie, that it has, over the last year, certainly the last 6 months, has increasingly picked up an audience in developing countries like the Philippines and Indonesia and places like that. This is this is kind of the play to earn sort of mechanic, because if you're playing the battle, you can earn this cryptocurrency called small love potions that you can then sell. And various people have done various calculations. It obviously depends on the price of small love potions when you're selling them, but you can kind of get, it seems like people are getting like $5 an hour. So you play the game, you do various things in the game. It takes up time, but you're getting this token that you can then sell on. And obviously, in the Western world, $5 an hour is not really gonna work for most people. Obviously, for certain people it could. Depends on your situation in life. But for lots of people in the developing world, $5 an hour is very good. And it's interesting that this is. This isn't $5 and then you can't do any more. This is $5 an hour, so you could play. Obviously you can do the maths on that sort of stuff. So this is interesting that we're kind of seeing Axie Infinity, not the only game that's kind of proving out this kind of blockchain mechanic that people own things in the game. In this case, tokens, and then they can then go. Well, actually, they own Axies. You need to own 3 Axies to play to play the battles. But so the fact that you own things in the game and then you can extract value from them. That's something that a lot of people in the industry think is going to be massive, and is really going to take gaming to a new level, because people are gaming not so much because they enjoy it, but because they can earn money, and obviously they're selling the things they're creating in the game or generating in the game to people who have more money than time, and so we're having that kind of that value exchange. And obviously blockchains are brilliant at that kind of transactional activity. But let's go and have a look at what else is going on with Axie Infinity, because with this kind of sort of success is also coming not problems, but we're kind of seeing there's always a negative and a positive to change. Okay, so this is again from Twitter. This is from Axie Infinity's Indonesian Twitter feed. So obviously it's in Indonesian. I've translated it via Google. So what's interesting, and we saw this kind of happening a bit earlier on in the week, that there were rumours coming out that there was a professional team of, or a company, we should say, a company in China that were basically running that were farming in Axie Infinity, and they had, not quite sure how many, but multiple people were using the same account, and basically using VPNs and various technical things to get around the terms and conditions. Terms and conditions very clearly state you can only have one account per person. So you can have multiple accounts, but you can only one person can use an account. So you can't keep passing it on. So basically, running the account 24 hours a day. With a whole bunch of people, and obviously we know through the history of games, really starting with Diablo and World of Warcraft, or Diablo 2, that we see kind of gold farms setting up, and it's a very similar actually thing that we were just talking about before. It's a kind of a play to earn that people are setting up. There's a system where there's an asset in the game that can be extracted by playing the game, and people in low cost countries are paid to do that, and they're effectively extracting wealth from richer countries, because people who are playing the game in richer countries are prepared to spend their real money in order to get the asset in the game, which they obviously don't have the time to grind out, because obviously they've got jobs or other commitments. So in a sense, this is nothing new. It's kind of interesting. Blockchains do allow developers a bit more visibility on what's going on, because you can track these things in a certain way. Obviously, there's ways you can use VPNs and that sort of thing to kind of obscurate that as well. But anyway, so this is just reminding people in Indonesia, if you use multiple accounts, because this is something people would do, then you're going to get banned. So this here is this is from, looks like it is from Discord, and this is Psychout, who's the COO, Alexander, who's the COO of Axie Infinity. So he's just reminding everyone we banned 800 Axies. So what they've done here is they've banned that they've tracked down where those the Chinese team who are using one account and multiple people, and they have banned 800 Axies. So this is interesting. So the Axies are the NFTs. The weird thing about this is that they're on a blockchain, so you can't ban the NFTs. But what they've done is, because Axie Infinity doesn't run fully on the blockchain, it's not everything on chain, as we've seen. We've looked at other data that's running off chain. So what they can do is they can identify the Axies that are that have been banned, that have been used in this issue, that in this erroneous way in terms of the terms and conditions, and then they can ensure those Axies cannot interact in the game anymore. So those Axies can no longer battle in the game. Now this creates kind of an interesting, or not so interesting, but it creates an issue that the Axie Infinity, although they're the developer, they can't remove the NFTs. The NFTs are on Ethereum. It is a public blockchain. You can't, you can't take things away from people. That's kind of what many people in the industry call censorship resistant. So they can't take away the Axies, but they can kind of ban them from playing the game. But these Axies are still out there. So what will be interesting to see is, presumably these people now have these kind of useless Axies in the sense of you can't use them in the game. And obviously, to a degree, the value of Axie NFTs relates to how much value you can create in the game with them. But now you can't create any value in the game. So what are these NFTs going to be valued at? So again, this kind of causes a problem, because everything's on. They can sell these on the public blockchain. It's not quite clear if these will be flagged up as NFTs that are banned in the game, because most things run on some sort of centralized servers as well. So marketplaces like OpenSea have some centralized components. So it may be that they can kind of blacklist these NFTs, so people can see, because they still could have a value. It could be a novelty value. I mean, I might want to buy a banned banned Axie. That might be kind of cool in a way. It may kind of flip the value. They may be even more valuable now they've been blacklisted. But it just does make it does kind of show that blockchain doesn't solve everyone's problems, and there still are these issues. And if you were running a completely on-chain game, you couldn't actually ban these Axies because you don't have control over it. It's a public blockchain. So it just kind of highlights some issues. Obviously, people are doing this in Axie because it's doing really well at the moment. So that's the I guess the dark, not the silver lining, the the opposite of a silver lining, the lining that comes with success. But now, we don't know how these Axies are going to be highlighted. I guess one bit of advice would be obviously to only buy and sell using the Axie Infinity in-game marketplace, because presumably these Axies will be highlighted there. If you see Axies that look like a really good deal because they've been priced very low, you may want to be careful. Just before we kind of finish, I do want to have a quick look through some of the data we have from Axie, because it is interesting as a case of a game that is growing really fast at the moment. Seeing figures of like 3% growth a day, and obviously some of that growth will be coming from people trying to do things like farm money out of them. And to be clear, you can farm. The point of the game is you can farm the assets. You just can't use multiple people using one account. Let's have a look at some of the data. Okay, so here we are at DappRadar looking at the on-chain data. So this is looking at people interacting with the blockchain, not this off-chain data we saw before. So we can see actually over the last 30 days we have 15,000 active wallets interacting with the Ethereum blockchain using Axie Infinity. We can see here, this is looking at auctions. So this is just a view of people selling Axies. We can see there's more auctions being created than are being successful, but both are going up. We can see here that this is the active wallet, so there are more buyers at the moment than sellers. We'd expect to see that because sellers tend to sell multiple Axies and buyers tend to buy smaller amounts. We can see here, it's in blue, is the price of the small love token. So it's pretty steady, goes up and down. It's been higher in the past, but it's still about 4 cents at the moment. And then we can see this is successful auctions again. We can see there's a boom going on in auctions at the moment, highest ever. We can also see this in USD. So obviously the price of ETH is going up a lot at the moment. So that will inflate to some degree the sales. If you're selling something at 1 ETH, now it used to be $350. Now it's almost $500. But we can still see here, certainly since where are we? Certainly since the start of kind of mid-September, late September, we've seen a very big boost, and even on kind of weaker days, we're seeing $60,000 worth of sales yesterday, and this is the most expensive Axies ever sold. So we've gone from we saw a whole bunch selling for 150 ETH, and then we had some coming in at 300, and now we've had we had two at 150 ETH, two at 200 ETH, and now we've had one at 300 ETH. So that is now valued at $124,000. Although that's based on the price of ETH. So it just kind of shows on this one here we look at. So this is looking at wallets. So the most richest wallet has spent $250,000 on Axie Infinity Axies. So that kind of shows really the level of growth that we're seeing in the game. So we're seeing that in the off-chain data, which we have to rely on Axie Infinity to be truthful about. No reason for them to lie, I don't think. But we can obviously always look at the on-chain data and get a better idea what's going on. And it is pretty clear. This game is in the growth phase. It's still, obviously fairly small compared to most other games. 15,000 users over a month. Compared to any other non-blockchain game would be seen as kind of risible. But this has gone up from basically hundreds of people a month, not that many. It's kind of 6-7 months ago. So we are seeing this kind of growth, and it'd be interesting to see how far it continues, because we know one thing people do need to do, and that's earn money. And if you provide ways of them earning money from the comfort of their own home, obviously they will need, in this case, a mobile phone, and they will need to buy some of the Axies to get started. It's not just kind of you have to have an upfront sort of investment cost, I suppose, but you can earn money. And it also would be interesting to see that how the price of small love potion, which is the main thing that is driving this at the moment, kind of aids that growth. So anyway, that's enough for today on Axie Infinity. I'm sure it will be a game I will come back to in future, because it's just fascinating what those guys are doing there. But thanks for watching the video. This is Blockchain Gaming World, where we spend our time deep into the world of blockchain as that approaches a big collision, a messy collision with the world of gaming. I think it's fascinating. Hope you do too. Please do subscribe. But thanks for watching, and hope to see you again soon.